I know at first glance that vacuum tubes and digital audio might not be a logical combination, a logical pairing. But in fact, they are. Not always, but they can be. And they certainly are in the subject of today's review, which is the Lab 12 DAC1 Reference. It's made in Greece. It is a non-oversampling DAC. And yes, it has tubes, two 6922 tubes. But before I get to the Lab 12, I just want to look back a little bit. And I had this flash as I was working on this review of the first time I heard tubes and digital audio together in one box. And that was the California Audio Lab's Tempest. That was based on a Philips transport. It's 1986, really early days for digital. And a lot of audiophiles were holdouts. They did not want to get into digital. They thought it was too bright, too hard, too this. I mean, there were plenty of audiophiles that loved digital right from the get-go. But there were a significant contingent that didn't. But this one, the California Audio Lab's Tempest, yeah, that changed a lot of minds. Really did. Anyway, that's history. As for the Lab 12, it's kind of a retro-looking design. It's got meters on the front. I can't think of too many DACs that have meters, VU meters no less. And what they're measuring exactly, other than, let's say, I guess, output voltage, I think that they're just for show. But on the inside, I'll show you a picture of the inside, it is all business. There are 8 multi-bit Philips DAC chips in there. As for connectivity on the rear end, it's pretty sparse back there. Just a USB, 2 coax, and an optical input. Plus for outputs, XLR and also RCA outputs. That's it. This is, by the way, a PCM-only DAC, meaning it doesn't do DSD, it doesn't have MQA, it doesn't have remote control. It's pretty sparse, really. But I think the build quality is very solid. This chassis weighs almost 17 pounds. It does come with a 5-year warranty, which is unusual for DACs. Most are 2 years, 3 years. 5 years is above the average, for sure. The DAC1 Reference is available in silver or black finishes, and the price, very important specification, it is $3,395. As I was getting acquainted with the sound of this DAC, I'm sitting there thinking, I get it. I know what this thing does. I know what separates it from pretty much every other DAC I've listened to lately. It is the way it relaxes. It opens up. It's not shouting at you. No, it's at ease, and the soundstage is big and wide and deep. Nice sense of layering in the soundstage. And then the bass, it likes to hit you. It's got this oomph to it. It sounds like a powerful amplifier, how that would impress you. But this is a DAC, it's not an amplifier. But the bass has this drive to it, this weight that feels very satisfying. Especially with rock music or any dance music or reggae, you feel more involved with the music because it's just grabbing you that way. Later on in this review, I'm going to compare the DAC1 Reference sound to the LTA, the linear tube audio Arrow DAC, obviously also a tube DAC, and also the Mola Mola Tambaqui, which is definitely not a tube DAC. It is very much a solid state. Super high resolving DAC. As I was working on this review, I was listening to John Lennon's first 2 solo albums, Plastic Ono Band and Imagine. And I like those 2 because they are relative to the later ones, less, at least some of the tracks, less produced, less densely populated. And I'm listening for John Lennon's voice. I mean, I've been listening to John Lennon's voice for 60 years. Lately, and certainly with this DAC, I'm hearing more of John as a complete human being, like right there between the speakers. And it's just incredible that audio can be that good. I mean, the technology to capture the sound of John Lennon's voice, starting in the mid-60s with the Beatles, But then certainly by the 70s, as he's doing his solo work, it was really good then. They had the ability to capture a lot of the essence of music in the 60s and 70s. All analog, obviously. But I'm listening to the CDs and I'm thinking, damn, it's so good. He was more completely present, and his breath and his phrasing and his dynamics, all of that just seemed more right to me with this DAC. So I got a handle on John's voice with the DAC1 reference. So I switched over to the LTA Arrow DAC, played the John Lennon records again. And the difference was pretty stark as these things go, because the LTA DAC was faster and definitely clearer, more transparent, more vivid, but less of that body and soul that I was getting from the DAC1 reference. The DAC1 reference is, well, softer, sweeter, rounder, warmer than the LTA Arrow. So this isn't a question of which one's better. I'm describing the differences between these two tube DACs. So not all tube DACs have to be soft and round and warm. The LTA is warm enough, but it has more of those other qualities of speed and res. As for the CD transport, I should have mentioned this earlier, but the CD transport used for this review was the J's Audio CDT2 Mark II, which is really good. I've used this as my reference for a bunch of years now, and I recently had in highly regarded Chinese transport. And I was thinking about reviewing it, but in every way, this one was so much better that it wasn't worth a review. It wasn't worth my time to put into saying over and over again how the CDT2 was better than this Chinese transport. So I passed on the review. But anyway, many transports have come and gone through this room, but the CDT2 Mark II is the one that stays here because it is my ongoing reference for a reason. It sounds really, really good, and it is built like a you-know-what. And for streaming, I was using the Bluesound Node 2i. Not a streaming guy. For me, almost all of my serious digital listening is with the J's Audio transport. I was playing all different kinds of CDs, all different genres, and then just my hand reached out and out came this one, this Beastie Boys CD, and I'm listening to it thinking, this is funky. This is hip hop, but this is very funky music. I love the drum sound on this record. It's fun listening to this kind of music. It's not my main deal, but when I dabble, it's like, yeah, I like this, yeah. Anyway, the combination with the Lab 12 brought it home. And again, the Lab 12's bottom end substance, that weight to it, I really, really like it. Maybe it's a coloration, maybe it's not accurate, but I don't care. It just, well, feels good. And I was playing this one nice and loud. Big smile on my face. One of those, yeah, I'd really like my job getting to play with this cool stuff. And just sitting at home, listening to music and taking notes and shooting videos. That's kind of what my life is. Moving right along, I played this one, The Mystery Lights. This is kind of like a 1960s garage band, like a Nuggets type recording, kind of genre of music. But it's definitely more modern sounding than that. But it still has this sense of a band that's just having fun, kicking out the jams. It's rock, pop music. And the Lab 12 was bringing it home because of the way that just had that feel, that forward motion, that drive. That was really, really exciting. And not a great recording. And when I switched over at this point to the Mola Mola Tambaki, I heard the hardness, the edginess, the brightness of this recording fully revealed. And in that sense, it's like, if I had a choice between Tambaki and Lab 12, oh yeah, I would go for the Lab 12 because it just made it easier to listen to. That's not an indictment of the Mola Mola. It's just the reality that over higher resolution audio, you will hear the weaknesses of recordings that much more clearly, and that's not always a good thing. But I love the Mola Mola for its resolution, and on great recordings. You can hear into the recording, into the mix. It's exquisite. But depending on your taste in music, where a lot of your music isn't the best sounding, you may not want something as clear as the Mola Mola Timbaki. As for some high-res streaming adventures, I listened to Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young from the Neil Young archives. I think that's what it's called, because he has it in 192K on his site. And I was comparing the LTA Aero DAC with the Lab 12 DAC1 Reference with CSNY. I do think this recording sounds, let's say, too good to be true for recording a live recording from 1969. But it is what it is. It was definitely 1969 that they played the Fillmore East. But anyway, I'm comparing the LTA Aero to the DAC1 Reference, and I felt that the Aero was giving me more of the whole sound of the Fillmore East than I was getting from the DAC1. But the DAC1, the Lab 12, was more like those are humans on stage singing, just their individual voices, Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. They were more completely in the room, with me, that is. And I was marveling at that, like, how is that even possible? And why this recording took forever to come out. It only came out last year, as far as I know. But anyway, the LTA sounded clearer, more transparent, blah, blah, blah. I think you understand where I'm going with this. This is the repeating theme of this review, is that the Lab 12, well, let's just go right to, so Steve, what do you really think of the Lab 12 DAC1 Reference? It's a beautiful sounding DAC. If you're looking for beauty in your digital music, this might be the one for you. If you're on the other side of the street and you just want to hear what's really in the recording at the highest res possible, maybe the Lab 12 isn't for you. Depends on where you are on the spectrum of resolution and beauty. I know you want both, but usually you're getting one or the other. It's hard to get them at the same time. So anyway, I think it's gorgeous sounding. I think it looks rather utilitarian. Looks like a lab instrument or something. But who cares about what it looks like? It's a DAC. Its job is to make beautiful sound from digital recordings, and it does. And with that, I can move on to, you know it, you love it, the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. Nate sent in these gorgeous photographs. He lives in the Seattle area, and he is into DIY. But to start, there's a Nottingham analog space deck with an Ace Space tone arm, and the cartridge is a Soundsmith Carmen, and for streaming, a Matrix Mini 1 Pro 4. Now, as for the DIY parts of the system, we're going to start with the Pearl 3 phono stage that was designed by Wayne Coburn. He works at Past Labs. Now, the preamp is DIY, and it comes from tubecad.com. It's called the Aikido, and it's the octal preamp that uses 6 SN7 tubes. The amplifier is DIY. It's a single-ended triode Class A KT120 amp that uses Onetics output transformers. Speakers are DIY, and they feature horn-loaded 1-inch CS Silk Dome tweeters, Fatale Pro Audio mid-range and woofer. Sensitivity is 95 dB. Cables are DIY from Cardis and others, and the audio rack is also DIY. Thank you, Nate. All right, we are back, and I want to thank you for watching this far into my video. I truly appreciate it. And you guys know that I have a Patreon, but not all of you know that I have been making exclusive content, exclusive videos just for my patrons that are never shown here on YouTube, just for patrons. So you can join my Patreon for a couple of bucks a month, up to $50 or $100 a month. And at the top 2 tiers, you and I will have a one-on-one conversation every month, usually at the beginning of the month. But The exclusive videos, those are for everybody at any tier you choose. You will get to see, and there's a whole lot of them already up there. So when you join, you'll have 40 or 50 videos that you've never seen before. And I really like making those videos because they're different than these. They feel more personal. I feel like I'm talking to my people, my patrons on that side of my ledger, of what I do. So anyway, so if I piqued your interest, please do check out my Patreon. And with that, I can say my work here is at last complete. Thank you so much for watching, and I truly do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.